Hey everyone, let's talk now about chording on the Svalboard Thumb Cluster. This is the kind of chording that you actually will use on a regular basis because thumb clusters typically hold keys like modifiers that get combined with a lot of other things. So the question is, how many keys can I hit together and what do they do? I'm going to talk through this on the left thumb cluster here because it's the one that I use multiple keys simultaneously on more often. Let me describe what each of these keys does. Right here, the center down key, the thumb down key is Shift. The knuckle key by default is Control. This key here, the pad key, is Enter. The nail key is Tab by default. And then the up key is used for going back to the alpha layer or whatever else you map it to. So let's talk about how these things can combine. Let's think about some common chords that we use a lot. Control Shift as an example, right? Control Shift S is something I use to start and stop voice recognition in Google Docs as an example. So Control Shift, I just go out with the knuckle and down with the thumb. You'll notice that I can also hit Control Tab. I can hit Control Shift Tab. This is a little bit awkward, but honestly, I've been doing this for 20 odd years and it's good enough. Like I can Control Tab around and Control Shift Tab around as I need to in order to go, back and forth in fields and so forth. You can also definitely hit down and enter, Shift and enter. And if you really want, you can hit Control and enter, which is a little strange. And if you're really contorting, you can hit Control Shift and enter all at the same time. But man, I would not want to try and do that on a regular basis. It's also possible to combo pad and up, so I can hit both of those quite easily. I can hit both of these easily. And pretty much any combination of two keys that are adjacent on here can be done in a pretty straightforward way. The same goes for the right-hand thumb, just, it's mirrored. But the keys that are on there are not usually comboed because I keep Alt and backspace and space over there. I don't do a lot of Control Shift Space, Control Backspace stuff, or Alt backspace, Alt space. It's not a key combination I use much. So that's the basic overview. And I want to point out one of the most important things about the data hand thumb cluster design, which is that it has these 5 different keys, which are all mapped to different motions of the thumb itself and its anatomy. So the knuckle moving outward is independent from the tip of the finger moving fore and aft. And the up and down motion of the thumb is separated, so I can go down here and up and in a little bit here. So you can use completely different motions with each part of the finger, which allows you to, one, not have to do complicated compound motions unless you are trying to chord something, and two, keeps your thumb moving on the axes which the actual joints are sort of designed for, right? The pad and nail motions are really flexion and extension of the thumb. The downward motion of the MCP joint is modest, so you're not exceeding the physical range of that motion. The up motion is also modest, and of course you could shim in here if you wanted to get that closer to your thumb. And then the knuckle motion is just the outward motion of the thumb. So I think that's really cool. It's one of my favorite things about the data hand architecture. This thumb cluster design gives you 5 usable keys on the thumb, like really 5 keys you can actually hit. Unlike, for example, Ergodox and Moonlander and even Glove 80, where you have 5 or 6 keys that require quite a bit of movement of the MCP joint, which can cause wear over time and is generally not as comfortable. And for people with smaller hands, it's also much more difficult. The beauty on Svalboard is that you can shim if your fingers are different sizes. My thumb is kind of an average, sort of medium man hand thumb. And you'll notice that actually on this prototype, I've just put in some thicker keys. This is a 4mm thicker knuckle key, and here's a 4mm thicker nail key to bring everything a little closer in so I don't have to move as much to get to the keys. And you can do that doing fancy modifications like this, printing new shapes of keys, or you can literally just, stick a little piece of rubber on there or a piece of foam to give yourself a little bit closer access to the key. And that works great. And I encourage everybody to think about adaptive strategies like that. This is for you, right? This is a device for your body. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. It doesn't have to fit anybody else's body. You can shape it any way you want. And I encourage you to explore that freedom. So that's how chording looks on the Svalboard Thumb Cluster. And I hope you'll come back for more videos soon.